Welcome, dear listeners, to today's transformative journey into the ancient wisdom of Hindu sages and the profound practice of karma cleansing through sacred affirmations. I'm going to share with you a story that changed my entire understanding of how we carry our past, how it shapes our present, and most importantly, how we can liberate ourselves from karmic patterns that no longer serve us. Before we dive into this profound narrative, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're carrying an invisible weight? Like no matter how hard you try to move forward, something unseen keeps pulling you back into the same patterns, the same struggles, the same disappointments. If you're nodding your head right now, you're not alone. This feeling, this inexplicable heaviness is what the ancient Hindu sages understood as the weight of karma, the accumulated impressions of our actions, thoughts, and intentions from this life and beyond. Today's episode isn't just about understanding karma intellectually. It's about experiencing a real transformation through the story of Maya, a successful corporate executive who discovered that her external achievements couldn't mask the internal turmoil she carried. Her journey from karmic bondage to liberation through the power of ancient sage affirmations will serve as our guide into this profound practice. Maya Sharma had everything society told her she should want. At 35, she was the youngest vice president in her company's history. She lived in a beautiful penthouse apartment overlooking the city skyline. Her LinkedIn profile was a testament to professional excellence, and her Instagram feed showcased a life of luxury travel and designer everything. Yet every morning, she woke up with a knot in her stomach that no amount of success could untangle. The pattern was always the same. She would achieve something remarkable, feel a momentary high, and then crash into an inexplicable emptiness. Relationships followed a predictable cycle too. Intense beginnings full of promise, followed by the same conflicts, the same disappointments, the same endings. It was as if she was living the same story over and over, just with different characters and settings. Her family relationships were strained. Despite her success, her parents never seemed satisfied. Her father would always find something to criticize, and her mother's worried expressions had become a permanent fixture. Maya found herself constantly seeking their approval, while simultaneously resenting them for withholding it. She gave generously to charities, volunteered when she could, and was known for mentoring junior colleagues. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling that she was fundamentally unworthy of love and happiness. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening in November. Maya had just closed the biggest deal of her career, a merger that would secure her position as the next CEO candidate. The champagne was flowing in the conference room, colleagues were congratulating her, and the chairman himself had called to express his admiration. But as Maya stood there, smile frozen on her face, she felt nothing. Worse than nothing. She felt hollow, like a beautiful vase with nothing inside. That night she couldn't sleep. The knot in her stomach had become a burning sensation. Her mind raced through every achievement, every accolade, searching for something that had brought lasting fulfillment. She found nothing. At 3 a.m, she found herself Googling, "Why do I feel empty despite success?" and stumbled upon an article about karma and the Sanskrit concept of samskara, the deep impressions left by past actions that create our current reality patterns. The article mentioned something that stopped her cold. Until we cleanse our karmic impressions, we are destined to repeat the same patterns, regardless of external circumstances. The ancient sages understood that true freedom comes not from changing our environment, but from transforming our inner landscape through sacred practices and affirmations that dissolve karmic bonds. Maya had always dismissed spirituality as something for people who couldn't handle the real world. She was a data-driven decision maker, a believer in logic and strategy, but sitting there in the darkness of her expensive apartment, surrounded by all the trappings of success, yet feeling utterly lost, she realized that perhaps there were some problems that spreadsheets and strategic planning couldn't solve. The next few weeks were torture. The emptiness grew worse. She began making mistakes at work, small ones at first, then larger ones. Her concentration wavered. The confident executive who could command any boardroom found herself stumbling over presentations. Her assistant noticed and gently suggested she take some time off. Maya laughed it off, but inside, she was panicking. If she wasn't her achievements, who was she? It was her grandmother's death that finally cracked her open completely. Nani had been the only person who had never seemed impressed by Maya's corporate success, yet had always looked at her with pure love. At the funeral, Maya's aunt handed her a letter Nani had written years ago to be given to Maya when she was ready. The letter was short. "My dearest child, you carry the dreams and disappointments of 7 generations. You carry my unfulfilled desire to study, your grandfather's shame of poverty, your mother's fear of abandonment, your father's need to prove himself. These are not your burdens, but you have made them yours. When you are ready to put them down, remember the words of the sages. The karma that binds can also liberate when transformed through wisdom and practice. Find a true teacher, learn the ancient ways, free yourself, and in doing so, free us all." Maya read the letter over and over, tears streaming down her face. How had Nani known? How had she seen what Maya had hidden even from herself? The words about carrying the dreams and disappointments of generations resonated so deeply that Maya felt her entire body vibrating with recognition. This was it. This was the weight she'd been carrying, but how could she put it down? 3 months after Nani's funeral, Maya found herself on a plane to Rishikesh, the yoga capital of India, nestled in the foothills of the Himalayas. She had told her company she was taking a sabbatical for personal development, which wasn't entirely untrue. What she didn't tell them was that she was going in search of something she couldn't quite name, a key to unlock the prison she'd built for herself. She had booked a modest room at an ashram recommended by a friend of a friend who had found herself there years ago. Maya had rolled her eyes at the cliché, but desperation makes believers of us all. The ashram was simple, a far cry from the luxury resorts she was accustomed to. Her room had a single bed, a small desk, and a window overlooking the Ganges. The bathroom was shared. The food was vegetarian. There was no Wi-Fi in the rooms. For the first 3 days, Maya attended the regular ashram schedule: morning meditation, yoga, lectures on Hindu philosophy, evening prayers. She felt like a fraud, going through the motions without understanding or believing. The other guests seemed to be having profound experiences while she just felt uncomfortable and out of place. She was about to leave when she met him. Swami Dayananda was not what she expected. She had imagined a sage to be ancient, with a long white beard and an air of otherworldly detachment. But Dayananda appeared to be in his 50s, with kind eyes and a gentle smile that seemed to see right through her carefully constructed facades. She met him by accident, or what she would later understand was divine synchronicity, when she literally bumped into him while rushing to catch the sunset over the Ganges. "Ah," he said, steadying her with surprising strength. "Always rushing, even here, where time moves differently." Something about the way he said it made Maya stop, really stop. For the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about the next thing, the next achievement, the next goal. She was just standing there, looking into the eyes of a stranger who somehow didn't feel like a stranger at all. "I'm sorry," she stammered, suddenly feeling like a child. "No need for apologies," he replied, "but perhaps there is need for conversation. You carry much weight for one so young. Would you like to sit?" They sat on the ghat, the stone steps leading down to the sacred river, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. Maya found herself telling this stranger things she'd never told anyone, about the emptiness, about Nani's letter, about feeling like she was living someone else's life. Swami Dayananda listened without interrupting, his presence somehow making it safe for Maya to unravel. When she finally stopped talking, embarrassed by her emotional outburst, he spoke. "You know, the sages tell us that karma is not punishment, as many believe. It is simply the law of cause and effect, playing out across time and space. Every action, every thought, every intention creates an impression, a samskara, in the fabric of our being. These impressions are like grooves in a record, causing us to replay the same patterns again and again. He picked up a stick and drew circles in the sand. You see these circles? This is your life now, moving in the same patterns, unable to break free. But what if I told you that the same power that created these impressions can dissolve them? Maya leaned forward, desperate. How? Through the practice of sacred affirmations, mantras given to us by the ancient sages who understood the vibrational nature of reality. You see, everything in this universe is vibration, including our thoughts and words. The samskaras that bind us are also vibrations, dense and heavy. The right affirmations, repeated with understanding and devotion, create new vibrations that dissolve the old patterns. He looked at her intently. But this is not magic, child. This is science. The science of consciousness that your modern world is only beginning to discover. The sages knew that sound, specifically sacred sound, has the power to restructure consciousness itself. I don't understand, Maya admitted. You don't need to understand with your mind, Swami Dayananda replied. You need to experience with your being. Are you willing to commit to a practice? 40 days of dedicated work with the sacred affirmations of karma cleansing? Maya thought about returning to her empty success, to the hollow achievements and the persistent knot in her stomach. Yes, she said, surprised by the firmness in her voice. Yes, I'm ready. Swami Dayananda smiled. Good. But first, you must understand what karma really is. In the West, you have simplified it to, what goes around comes around, but it is far more complex and beautiful than that. He began to explain the 3 types of karma. Sanchita karma, the accumulated karma from all past lives. Prarabdha karma, the portion of accumulated karma that is ripe for experiencing in this life. And Kriyamana karma, the karma we are creating right now through our current actions. Most people, he said, believe they are powerless against their karma, but the sages discovered that while we cannot change Prarabdha karma, the karma that is already bearing fruit, we can burn away Sanchita karma and transform our Kriyamana karma through spiritual practice. This is the secret of liberation. He taught her that karma cleansing wasn't about escaping consequences, but about transforming the energy of past actions into wisdom and liberation. Every karmic debt, he explained, is an opportunity for growth. When we approach our karma with awareness and the right practices, what was once a burden becomes a blessing. The next morning, Maya met Swami Dayananda at dawn by the river. The air was cool and filled with the sound of temple bells and morning prayers. He had her sit in a comfortable position, facing the rising sun. The first principle, he began, is that affirmations must be felt, not just spoken. The ancient sages understood that emotion is energy in motion. Without feeling, words are just sounds. With feeling, they become transformative forces. He taught her the first affirmation, one that had been passed down through generations of sages. Gam Ganapataye Namaha. I invoke the remover of obstacles, both known and unknown, created by my actions across all time. This mantra, he explained, calls upon Lord Ganesha, the deity who removes obstacles. But more than that, it acknowledges that many of our obstacles are self-created through our karmic actions. By invoking Ganesha with awareness, we begin to dissolve these self-created barriers. Maya repeated the mantra, first hesitantly, then with growing confidence. Swami Dayananda corrected her pronunciation, teaching her that each Sanskrit syllable carried specific vibrational frequencies that affected different energy centers in the body. Now, he said, we add the emotional component. As you chant, feel gratitude for the obstacles, for they have been your teachers. Feel compassion for yourself, for you did the best you could with the consciousness you had. Feel surrender, releasing the need to control outcomes. The practice felt strange at first, but as Maya continued, something shifted. The knot in her stomach, her constant companion for years, began to loosen slightly. It was subtle, but unmistakable. Over the next week, Swami Dayananda introduced her to more affirmations, each targeting different aspects of karmic cleansing. Om Namah Shivaya, to dissolve ego-driven karma. Om Mani Padme Hum, to transform negative karma into compassion. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, to heal collective karma. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, to clear poverty consciousness and scarcity karma. But it wasn't just about the mantras. Swami Dayananda taught her about the importance of creating a sacred space for practice, the power of practicing during Brahma Muhurta, the hours before dawn, and the necessity of combining affirmations with self-inquiry. You must ask yourself, he instructed, what patterns am I repeating? What fears drive my actions? What desires control my choices? The affirmations will bring these patterns to the surface. Your job is to witness them without judgment, allowing the sacred vibrations to dissolve them. Maya extended her stay at the ashram, committing to the full 40-day practice that Swami Dayananda had prescribed. She knew that her company was wondering about her extended absence, but for the first time in her life, she prioritized her inner work over external expectations. The practice was structured but demanding. Every morning at 4 a.m., Maya would wake, bathe in cold water, a purification ritual Swami Dayananda insisted upon, and make her way to the meditation hall. There, facing east, as the first hints of dawn appeared, she would begin her affirmation practice. The first week was brutal. Her mind, accustomed to constant stimulation and achievement, rebelled against the simplicity of repetition. She would find herself mentally composing emails, planning presentations, worrying about what she was missing at work. The affirmations felt mechanical, empty. This is normal, Swami Dayananda assured her. The ego does not give up its patterns easily. Continue with faith. The mantras are working even when you don't feel them. He introduced her to the concept of Japa, the meditative repetition of mantras using a mala, prayer beads. 108 repetitions, he explained, represents the wholeness of existence. As you complete each round, you are symbolically moving through a complete cycle of creation and dissolution. By the second week, Maya began to notice changes. During her morning practice, memories would surface, moments from childhood she'd forgotten, patterns in her family she'd never recognized. She remembered her father's father, who she'd met only briefly, and his obsession with success after losing everything during the partition of India. She saw how her father had inherited not just his father's drive, but also his deep fear of poverty and failure. One morning, while chanting Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Maya had a vivid vision of her maternal grandmother as a young woman, brilliant and eager to learn, being told that education was not for girls. She saw how that thwarted desire had passed through her mother to her, manifesting as an insatiable need to prove herself through achievement. These revelations, Swami Dayananda explained, are the beginning of karma cleansing. You are seeing the origins of your patterns. Now, instead of unconsciously living them out, you can choose to transform them. He taught her a powerful practice called ancestral karma healing affirmation. I honor the struggles of my ancestors. I acknowledge their pain, their unfulfilled dreams, their fears. I carry their strength, but release their burdens. I am free to create my own karma, aligned with my soul's purpose. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Maya would spend an hour each day with this affirmation, visualizing her ancestral line and sending healing light backward through time. It was during one of these sessions that she had a profound realization. Her success wasn't just for her. She had been unconsciously trying to fulfill the dreams of generations of women who couldn't. The weight she carried wasn't just her own ambition, but the collective longing of her lineage. The third week brought what Swami Dayananda called the purification crisis. Maya's emotions became volcanic. One day she would feel ecstatic, connected to everything. understanding the cosmic joke of existence. The next, she would be sobbing uncontrollably, grieving losses she didn't even understand. This is the karma burning, Swami Dayananda explained. Like fever burning out infection, these emotions are the release of stored karmic impressions. Don't resist, let them move through you. He introduced her to a powerful affirmation for emotional karma cleansing. Om Hrim Namah. I dissolve all emotional impressions that no longer serve my highest good. I release all resentment, all grief, all fear. I am the pure consciousness that witnesses all emotions but is bound by none. Maya learned to sit with whatever arose, chanting this mantra while allowing the emotions to flow. She cried for the child who had tried so hard to be perfect. She raged at the unfairness of inherited patterns. She grieved the authentic life she hadn't lived while pursuing others' dreams. But something beautiful was happening alongside the purification. Maya began to feel lighter. The knot in her stomach, present for so long she'd forgotten life without it, was dissolving. She found herself laughing more easily, enjoying simple pleasures like the taste of chai or the sound of birds at dawn. Swami Dayananda introduced more advanced practices. He taught her the karma burning meditation, where she would visualize her karmic debts as dried leaves, offering them into the sacred fire of consciousness while chanting, Om Agni Devaya Namaha. I offer all my karmic debts to the sacred fire of transformation. What was created in ignorance is dissolved in wisdom. I am free, I am free, I am free. He also taught her about sankalpa, the power of sacred intention. Before each affirmation session, he instructed, set a clear intention, not for personal gain, but for the highest good of all. When our practice is aligned with universal welfare, it gains infinite power. Maya began each session with the sankalpa. May my karma cleansing benefit all beings. May my liberation contribute to the liberation of all. May my practice send healing through all dimensions of time and space. The fourth week brought integration. The emotional storms calmed, replaced by a deep peace Maya had never experienced. The affirmations, once foreign sounds, now felt like coming home. She could feel their vibrations restructuring something fundamental within her. Swami Dayananda introduced the most powerful practice, the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra, the great death-conquering mantra, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe, Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshya Mamritat. This mantra, he explained, is not about physical death, but about the death of ego, the death of limiting patterns, the death of karmic bondage. It is the ultimate liberation affirmation used by sages for thousands of years to achieve moksha, complete freedom. As Maya chanted this ancient mantra, she felt something profound shifting. It was as if layers of false identity were peeling away, revealing something luminous underneath. She understood, not intellectually but in her bones, that she was not her achievements, not her failures, not even her karma. She was the eternal consciousness that had temporarily taken on these experiences for its own evolution. The fifth week deepened the practice. Swami Dayananda taught her about the power of group consciousness in karma cleansing. When we practice in community, he said, our individual efforts are multiplied exponentially. Maya joined the ashram's evening group chanting sessions, where dozens of practitioners would come together to chant karma cleansing affirmations. The collective energy was palpable. Maya could feel the vibrations of the mantras creating a field of transformation that extended far beyond the meditation hall. She understood that her personal karma cleansing was contributing to a larger healing, that individual liberation and collective evolution were inseparable. During this week, Swami Dayananda introduced her to the practice of karma yoga, selfless service as a means of karma cleansing. Every action performed without attachment to results, he taught, burns away past karma while creating no new binding karma. Maya began serving meals at the ashram, cleaning the meditation hall, helping newer students with their practice. The same woman who had once measured her worth by her salary and title found deep fulfillment in these simple acts of service. She discovered that when action flowed from love rather than ego, it carried a different quality, light, free, joyful. The 6th week brought the teaching of forgiveness as a karma cleansing practice. Forgiveness, Swami Dayananda explained, is not about condoning harmful actions. It's about releasing the energetic bonds that keep us tied to past karma. He taught her the forgiveness affirmation sequence. I forgive myself for all actions taken in ignorance. I forgive others for all actions taken in ignorance. I release all beings from karmic debt to me. I release myself from karmic debt to all beings. In this forgiveness, all karma is dissolved. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Maya spent hours with this practice, forgiving her parents for their unconscious patterns, forgiving herself for the years spent chasing empty achievements, forgiving the universe for what had felt like cruel jokes. With each round of forgiveness, she felt lighter, freer. She had a profound experience during one forgiveness session. She saw herself from a cosmic perspective, saw how every experience, every struggle, every moment of suffering had been perfectly orchestrated for her growth. What had seemed like punishment was actually grace. What had felt like karma binding her was actually karma leading her home. As the 40 days drew to a close, Maya was not the same person who had arrived at the ashram. The change wasn't just internal. Even her physical appearance had transformed. The stress lines that had prematurely aged her face had softened. Her eyes, once sharp with ambition and anxiety, now held a gentle luminosity. She moved differently, with a grace that came from being at peace with herself. On the 40th day, Swami Dayananda met her at their usual spot by the Ganges. The sun was rising, painting the river gold, and Maya felt the appropriateness of completing her journey where it had begun. "So," he asked, with a knowing smile, "what have you discovered?" Maya was quiet for a moment, searching for words to express the inexpressible. "I discovered that I was never bound by karma. I was bound by my belief in karma's power over me. The affirmations didn't free me from some external force. They freed me from my own limiting beliefs about who I am and what's possible." Swami Dayananda nodded approvingly. "This is true wisdom. Karma is real, but our relationship with it determines whether it imprisons or liberates us. The sages knew that karma is not our master, but our teacher. When we approach it with the right understanding and practices, it becomes the very path to freedom." "But what now?" Maya asked. "Do I go back to my old life? How do I integrate what I've learned?" "You don't go back," Swami Dayananda replied. "You go forward, but with new consciousness. The karma cleansing you've done hasn't erased your past or your responsibilities. It has transformed your relationship with them. You'll find that the same situations that once triggered old patterns now offer opportunities for new responses." He gave her a final teaching. "Continue the practice. Karma cleansing is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. Every day, we create new karma through our thoughts, words, and deeds. But now you have the tools to keep your karmic slate clean, to transform binding karma into liberating wisdom." He taught her a daily maintenance practice, a shortened version of the 40-day intensive that she could do anywhere. Morning, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, 108 times to remove obstacles. Noon, Om Namah Shivaya, 54 times to maintain ego dissolution. Evening, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, 108 times to heal collective karma. Before sleep, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, 27 times for peace and integration. These 4 practices, he said, will maintain the cleansing you've achieved and continue to refine your consciousness. Remember, every affirmation is a seed. With repetition and faith, these seeds will grow into a garden of liberation. Maya returned to her corporate life, but everything was different. The job that had once defined her was now simply a vehicle for service. She found herself making decisions not from ego or fear, but from a place of aligned wisdom. Her colleagues noticed the change immediately. Where once she had been driven but anxious, she was now focused but peaceful. Her presence had a calming effect on others, and her meetings became oddly transformative spaces where real communication happened. The relationships in her life transformed as well. With her parents, the old patterns of seeking approval and feeling resentment dissolved. She could see them clearly now. not as the all-powerful figures of her childhood or the disappointing critics of her adulthood, but as human beings carrying their own karmic burdens, doing their best with the consciousness they had. She had a profound conversation with her father where, for the first time, he shared his own fears and the pressure he'd felt to succeed after his father's failures. Her mother opened up about her own mother's unfulfilled dreams and how she'd projected them onto Maya. The family karma, once hidden and unconsciously enacted, was now visible and could be healed. Maya found herself naturally sharing what she'd learned, but not in a preachy way. She started a small meditation group at her office, teaching simple affirmations for stress relief. She was amazed at how receptive her colleagues were. The hard-driving corporate warriors were hungry for something more, just as she had been. 6 months after her return, Maya made a radical decision. She restructured her role at the company, moving from the CEO track to heading a new division focused on corporate wellness and sustainable business practices. It was a lateral move that made no sense from a traditional career perspective, but it aligned perfectly with her new understanding of success. She began integrating karma cleansing principles into corporate training, teaching executives about the karmic implications of business decisions. Every choice we make in business, she would explain, creates ripples that affect employees, customers, communities, and the environment. When we understand karma in business, we naturally move toward more conscious, sustainable practices. The response was remarkable. Companies began inviting her to speak about conscious capitalism and karmic business practices. She wrote articles about how ancient wisdom could transform modern corporate culture. What had begun as a personal journey of karma cleansing was becoming a movement. But the most profound change was in Maya's inner life. The emptiness that had plagued her was gone, replaced by a fullness that had nothing to do with external achievements. She continued her daily affirmation practice, and with each passing month, felt herself becoming lighter, clearer, more aligned with her true purpose. She maintained regular contact with Swami Dayananda, visiting the ashram quarterly for what she called her karmic tune-ups. During one visit, he shared something that deeply moved her. "You know, Maya, your transformation is not just personal. When one person truly cleanses their karma, it creates a ripple effect that touches countless lives. Your ancestors are freed from seeing their patterns repeated. Your descendants are freed from inheriting those patterns. And everyone you encounter is touched by the light of your liberation." A year after her initial 40-day practice, Maya received a message that would have triggered her old patterns. Her main competitor had just closed a deal she'd been working on, and the board was questioning her new direction. The old Maya would have spiraled into anxiety, working around the clock to prove herself. But the new Maya simply sat with the news, chanted her evening affirmations, and asked herself, "What is this situation teaching me? What karma is being revealed for healing?" She realized that the situation was testing whether she truly released her attachment to external validation. She had. The next day, she presented to the board not a defensive strategy, but a vision for how conscious business practices would position the company for long-term success. She spoke not from ego, but from wisdom, not from fear, but from faith. The board was moved not just by her ideas, but by her presence. They approved her initiatives, but more importantly, Maya realized she would have been at peace with any outcome. 2 years into her transformation, Maya established a foundation that brought karma cleansing practices to underserved communities. She understood that karma wasn't just individual, but collective, and that healing societal karma required making these practices accessible to all. She developed simplified affirmation practices that could be taught in schools, prisons, and community centers. The results were extraordinary. Youth who had been trapped in cycles of violence found peace. Prisoners discovered that while their bodies were confined, their consciousness could be free. Communities that had been stuck in generational patterns of poverty and dysfunction began to transform. Maya often reflected on how different her life had become. The external markers of success were still there. She was still accomplished, still prosperous, but they no longer defined her. Her identity was rooted in something deeper, something that couldn't be taken away by any external circumstance. She understood now what the sages had always taught, that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience. Karma was not punishment, but education, not bondage, but the very mechanism of evolution. During a particularly profound meditation session, Maya had a vision of the interconnected web of karma that connected all beings. She saw how every action, every thought, every intention created ripples that extended through time and space. She saw how the karma cleansing practices she'd learned were not just personal tools, but technologies for collective evolution. She understood that the affirmations worked not through magic, but through the fundamental laws of consciousness. By repeatedly vibrating at the frequency of liberation, forgiveness, and love, she had literally restructured her energy field, dissolving the dense patterns of old karma and creating space for new possibilities. 3 years after that first meeting with Swami Dayananda, Maya had become a teacher in her own right. Not a guru, she was clear about that, but someone who could guide others through their own karma cleansing journey. She had developed a systematic approach that combined ancient wisdom with modern understanding, making the practices accessible to Western minds while maintaining their essential power. Her teaching emphasized several key principles that she discovered through her own journey. First, karma cleansing is not about escaping consequences, but about transforming our relationship with them. Every karmic debt is an opportunity for growth, every pattern a teacher pointing us toward liberation. Second, affirmations must be combined with awareness. Simply repeating mantras mechanically creates little change, but when we combine sacred sound with conscious awareness of our patterns, profound transformation occurs. Third, karma cleansing is not a solo journey. We are all interconnected, and our individual healing contributes to collective evolution. When we cleanse our karma, we lighten the load for all beings. Fourth, the practice must be consistent. Karma has been accumulated over lifetimes. It requires patient, persistent practice to dissolve. The 40-day intensive creates a strong foundation, but daily practice maintains and deepens the cleansing. Fifth, service is essential. Karma yoga, selfless service, both burns old karma and prevents the creation of new binding karma. When we act from love rather than ego, our actions become offerings rather than obligations. Maya developed a comprehensive program that she called the Karma Freedom Protocol. It consisted of 3 phases. Phase 1, recognition, understanding your karmic patterns, their origins, and their effects on your life. This involved deep self-inquiry, ancestral healing work, and beginning affirmation practice. Phase 2, release, the intensive 40-day practice of karma cleansing affirmations combined with forgiveness work, emotional release, and energy clearing. Phase 3, renewal, establishing a sustainable daily practice, integrating karma-free living into everyday life and contributing to collective karma healing. She taught workshops around the world, wrote books, created online courses, but she always emphasized that the real work couldn't be packaged or sold. It had to be lived. The affirmations were tools, but the transformation came from the sincere desire for liberation and the willingness to face whatever arose in the process. One of her students asked her once, "How do you know when your karma is cleansed?" Maya smiled, remembering asking Swami Dayananda the same question. You know your karma is cleansing when the same situations that once triggered you now leave you peaceful, when you can see the patterns without being controlled by them, when you act from choice rather than compulsion, when love becomes your default response rather than fear. She continued, "But complete karma cleansing? That's enlightenment, and I'm not there yet. What I can tell you is that every day of practice makes us freer. Every affirmation dissolves a little more of what binds us. Every moment of awareness creates space for new possibilities." Maya's life had become a testament to the power of the ancient practices. She was living proof that we are not doomed to repeat our patterns, that karma is not our master, that freedom is possible. Her transformation inspired thousands of others to begin their own journey of karma cleansing. She often thought about Nani's letter, about carrying the dreams and disappointments of 7 generations. She had not only put down those burdens, but had transformed them into blessings. The unfulfilled dreams of her ancestors had become fuel for her service. Their disappointments had become her compassion. Their struggles had become her strength. As Maya's story shows us, karma cleansing through sacred affirmations is not just an ancient practice, but an urgently relevant tool for modern transformation. We all carry patterns, personal, familial, cultural, that limit our potential and perpetuate suffering. But we also all have access to the tools of transformation. The affirmations Maya learned are not exclusive to her or to those who can travel to ashrams in India. They are universal technologies of consciousness, available to anyone sincere in their desire for freedom. The Sanskrit mantras carry special power due to their vibrational precision, but the principles can be applied in any language, any culture, any context. What matters is not perfection in practice, but sincerity in intention. You don't need to pronounce the Sanskrit perfectly or understand all the philosophical nuances. You need only to begin, to take the first step on the path of karma cleansing. Start simple. Choose one affirmation that resonates with you. Perhaps it's Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha for removing obstacles. Perhaps it's Om Namah Shivaya for ego dissolution. Perhaps it's simply, I am free from all limiting patterns in your own language. Commit to 40 days. Set aside time each morning, even just 15 minutes, for your practice. Create a sacred space, light a candle, and begin. Repeat your chosen affirmation with feeling, with intention, with faith that transformation is possible. Notice what arises. As you practice, patterns will surface, emotions will release, insights will emerge. Don't judge any of it. Simply witness, allow, and continue the practice. Remember that every moment of awareness is a victory, every repetition a step toward freedom. Be patient with yourself. Karma accumulated over lifetimes doesn't dissolve overnight, but every day of practice creates change, even when you don't immediately see it. Trust the process. Trust the wisdom of the sages who gave us these practices. Trust your own capacity for transformation. Remember that your karma cleansing is not just for you. As you free yourself from limiting patterns, you free energy that can serve the collective good. Your liberation contributes to the liberation of all beings. Your practice sends ripples of healing through the web of existence. Consider finding community. While personal practice is essential, practicing with others multiplies the power. Find or create a group that meets regularly for karma cleansing affirmations. Share your experiences, support each other's journey, celebrate each other's breakthroughs, integrate service. As you cleanse your karma, look for ways to serve others. It might be teaching what you've learned, supporting others in their healing, or simply bringing more consciousness to your daily actions. Remember that karma yoga, selfless service, is itself a powerful cleansing practice. Most importantly, approach the practice with love rather than fear. Karma cleansing is not about punishment or penance. It's about liberation, about reclaiming your true nature, about remembering who you really are beneath all the accumulated impressions. Maya's story continues. She still practices daily, still discovers new layers of karma to cleanse, still finds new depths of freedom. She's learned that karma cleansing is not a destination, but a way of traveling, not an achievement, but a way of being. She recently returned to the ashram for a special gathering where Swami Dayananda was teaching advanced practices. Sitting by the Ganges, in the same spot where her journey had begun, she marveled at how much had changed and how much remained the same. The river still flowed, carrying away what no longer served. The sun still rose, bringing new possibilities. The ancient mantras still vibrated with transformative power, but Maya was different, lighter, clearer, more essentially herself than she'd ever been. Swami Dayananda, now in his 70s, looked at her with the same kind eyes that had seen through her facades years ago. "You have become what you always were," he said simply. "The karma was just clouds hiding the sun of your true nature. Now you shine." As she sat there, Maya understood that every person struggling with patterns they don't understand, carrying weight they can't name, repeating cycles they can't break, has the same potential for transformation. The tools are available. The path is mapped. The only question is, are you ready to begin? The ancient sages left us a precious gift. The understanding that we are not bound by our past, that karma is not our prison, but our teacher, that through sacred practice and sincere intention, we can transform the lead of our limitations into the gold of liberation. Your karma cleansing journey doesn't have to look exactly like Maya's. You might not leave your job or travel to India, but you can begin where you are, with what you have, with the simple but powerful practice of sacred affirmations. Every morning that you wake up, you have a choice. You can continue unconsciously living out your karmic patterns, or you can consciously work to transform them. You can remain bound by the past, or you can create a new future. You can accept limitation, or you can claim your birthright of freedom. The sages tell us that in every moment, we are creating karma through our thoughts, words, and deeds. But they also tell us that in every moment, we have the power to cleanse karma, to transform patterns, to choose liberation. The question is not whether transformation is possible. Countless beings have proven that it is. The question is whether you're ready to do the work. As we close, I want to leave you with a powerful affirmation that synthesizes the essence of karma cleansing. I am not my karma. I am the eternal consciousness that witnesses all experience. I release all patterns that no longer serve my highest good. I forgive all beings, including myself. I am free to create my life aligned with my soul's purpose. My liberation serves the liberation of all beings. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Repeat this affirmation daily, feeling its truth resonate through every cell of your being. Let it remind you of who you really are, not a prisoner of karma, but a free being temporarily experiencing limitation for the purpose of growth. Remember Maya's journey when you face challenges in your practice. Remember that the darkest moment, when patterns seem strongest, when emotions are most intense, when you most want to quit, is often the moment just before breakthrough. The karma that seems to bind you most tightly is often the karma most ready to be released. Trust the process. Trust the practices. Trust yourself. The same power that created your karmic patterns can dissolve them. The same consciousness that forgot its true nature can remember. The same being that fell asleep to its divinity can awaken. Your journey of karma cleansing begins with a single affirmation, a single moment of awareness, a single choice to transform. That moment is now. That choice is yours. The ancient sages have given you the keys. Will you use them to unlock your prison and step into freedom? The path of karma cleansing is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Every pattern you transform, every burden you release, every limitation you transcend brings you closer to your true nature. And in finding your true nature, you give others permission to find theirs. This is the ultimate gift of karma cleansing, not just personal liberation, but collective evolution. As more beings free themselves from limiting patterns, the entire consciousness of humanity shifts. What was once considered impossible becomes possible. What was once rare becomes common. What was once the achievement of a few becomes the birthright of all. So begin your practice with the understanding that you are not just cleansing your own karma, but contributing to the cleansing of collective karma. Your transformation matters not just for you, but for all beings. Not just for now, but for generations to come. The ancient Hindu sages understood something profound. That sound creates reality, that vibration shapes consciousness, that the right words repeated with the right intention can literally restructure our being. They gave us the technology of transformation in the form of sacred affirmations. Now it's up to us to use it. As you leave this story and enter your own journey of karma cleansing, remember that you are not alone. Millions of beings throughout history have walked this path. The sages who created these practices support you from beyond time. Everyone currently engaged in karma cleansing is connected to you through the field of consciousness, and your own higher self, your true nature, is guiding you home. May your practice be strong. May your transformation be profound. May your liberation serve all beings, and may you discover, as Maya did, that beneath all the karma, all the patterns, all the limitations, you are and always have been free. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace in body, peace in mind, peace in spirit. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The journey of karma cleansing begins with a single affirmation. Your journey begins now. If you enjoyed this video, you can follow my Patreon for free, and if you want to support my work, you can always upgrade your membership level. On my Patreon, you'll find new videos published 2 days before they're released on YouTube, ad-free and exclusive content that I don't make publicly available. The link is in the description and pinned comment. See you in the next video.